Hello, Lou Hamilton from Audible Elegance here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are located a couple doors north of the original Montgomery Inn. If you're local, you know what that is. And I write a monthly blog that's on our website. Please do enjoy that. We have a new and used section that's available to be purchased, both locally or shipped to you, depends upon the item. Thing I wanted to get into tonight is what I call the illusion of a bargain. And we're running into this quite a bit, and this is particularly um, prominent with products that are only available by mail order. And the reason I called the illusion of a bargain is these companies actually have very little history behind them. They may be the last 3 or 4 years, some may be 5. We see a plethora of tables, turntables, for example, that, a few years ago, they weren't even, on the map. And the reason I call it an illusion of a bargain is that products like the turntables and many of the products that we have and that people own last 10, 20, sometimes 30 years. I've got a CD player in the back from California Audio Labs that's, every bit of 30 years old. And so you have to look at the purchase of audio equipment not as $50 versus $75 today, but look at that product as an investment over a long period of time. And this is where people get screwed up, because there's very few products out there that will last as long as an audio product. Now we're talking basic audio products. We're not talking home theater where they're always fooling around with the software that's needed or the type of connections you need to make a connection, or it has to do a handshake. No, we're talking just straight audio gear here for a second. Even home theater power amplifiers are not subject to that sort of whim. But you're talking products that last a really long time. I ask people all the time, so are you still using your 20-year-old computer? How's your 20-year-old cell phone hanging out there? Your refrigerators don't last 20 years like they used to. They're 10 years, 15 years and out, generally speaking. Same thing with washers and dryers. I don't know how many of you are still driving a 20 or 25-year-old car. I doubt very few. I know that if you are, you certainly don't enjoy the service costs that are quite regular now on it, as the mileage and everything else is just eating away its durability. So I have a problem when people get fascinated with a mail order product that has no reputation, and it looks like it's $30 or $50 or $75 cheaper. And then you have this story where, well, we're cutting out the middleman and saving you. No, they're not. What they're doing is they're pocketing it all. Okay. They're not saving you anything. They're looking at what's available in the market and what they can sell their product for. And they'll nestle in, a bit underneath of it, but they're pocketing all of that. So I don't want to hear this nonsense of, well, look, I've cut out the middleman. Look how much I must be saving. I mean, probably if it was sold retail, it would be twice as much. No, it probably would be $10 more, and then they'd have to split the income. And it just drives me nuts, because a lot of these products are not that good. We just had an older Thorns come in here. I think it was like a TD240. And when I started looking at it, it's got stamped steel. It's got noisy parts for the auto return. The tone arm gimbal assembly is clearly what was used by Dual. The head shell system is Mickey Mouse. The head shell itself was plastic, and they put it on a lovely wooden plinth. Well, okay, that's fine, except, it doesn't have any isolation, and it just sounded like crap, to be honest. So even some name brands can be an illusion of a bargain too. Don't get me wrong. The only redeeming value of that particular player was that it does 78s. If you're going to spin 78s. But then again, you're going to use a mono cartridge, not a stereo one, or at least a conical, not an elliptical. So Be really careful when you hear these sirens, calling you from the shores, and you're going to row your boat over there, and it's going to be a disaster because in about 3 or 4 years, you're not going to get, maybe 5, you're not going to get any product support. That's why we sell Riga. You have long-term support and commitment by the companies. Rogue Audio is another fine example of someone, they build it all in the States. They back the product. They're wonderful to talk to. They're not some sort of, vacuum tube product that came out of, Wang Fong in China, who has no reputation, but it looks like it's a bargain. And, we see these things come in, and within a couple of years, they're not worth crap. Again, you have to look at something that you're buying is going to last longer than probably most everything else you own. They'll certainly outlive the lifetime of your pets. I mean, if you want a reference point, let's think about this. So saving $50 today may cost you over the years. And that's where I say it's an illusion of a bargain. It's cheaper on the front side, but the back side is a bitch. There we are.